Thank you, Sihoon, for the warm welcome. It's a pleasure to be speaking here today at WiT Japan. Happy New Year to you all, and welcome to 2022. It's certainly been an interesting start for us all here in APAC. As more COVID variants emerge, it's clear the turbulence that the virus creates in our communities is here to stay a little while longer. As a result, recovery and success for businesses in the short to medium term will require us all to embrace the change mindset. We have shifted to an endemic world. And for travel specifically, this has seen the creation of the Endemic Traveler, and in some areas of APAC, the rise of the revenge traveler. I'll share more on this shortly. Today, I'm here to talk to you about how the APAC traveler has evolved over the last 12 months, and in turn, what it is required to win the hearts and minds of these people. I'm going to start by sharing 3 key search trends for 2021 that we believe will be at the forefront of people's minds in 2022, and then pivot to sharing insights from our newly launched APAC consumer research with Kantar. So without further ado, and because I know Sihoon is a very good timekeeper, let me share 3 top APAC trends from last year. In 2021, we saw a huge growth in searches around well-being as people reevaluated their values and lifestyle choices, given the enduring nature of the pandemic. In APAC specifically, we saw significant shifts in priorities as it came to people's desire to spend time with their loved ones and also invest in self-care. We saw search increases dramatically year on year for both these themes. In 2022, we believe emotional well-being and well-being as a whole sector will be incredibly important as people continue to invest on self-improvement. If I think of my own experiences over the last year, what I see is in the last year, I've invested more time and money into creating more family moments and also on wellness. I've taken 3 trips in the last 4 months. Yes, I am the atypical revenge APAC traveler. And I've also invested in multiple different self-improvement initiatives, such as meditation and regular yoga practice. In 2022, we believe well-being will continue to be a top priority for people around the region. This will bring an flow-on effect as they will want to engage with brands that match their mindset and needs. For travel brands to be successful, they'll need to adapt communications, drawing out the offerings that are relevant to consumers, and particularly highlighting those around self-care and well-being. Looking at your first-party data is always a great place to start. In 2021, we also saw a second trend with a sharp growth in people searching in ways they could connect with people as it pertains to experiences. While safety is still a top concern for people, particularly in markets such as Japan and also South Korea, it hasn't overridden the basic human need for personal connection and belonging. We saw rising searches in 2021 for consumers to find new ways to express themselves and also nurture their relationships more deeply, both online and offline. Personally, last year I saw myself doing a bunch of new things as it pertained to experiences so that I could connect with people, from joining virtual running events to hosting socially distanced yoga events in person with my colleagues and friends. And we see that that desire really shine through in the search trends on the page. So in 2022, we believe that people's desire for a personal connection will continue to remain, and travel brands can take advantage of this. 1, by ensuring that you create meaningful and personalized relationships with your customers And two, by highlighting the offerings you have that allow them to engage in safe experiences. You could do simple things such as having personalized ad creative or be more targeted with your email communications and calling out specifically what you're doing to create a safe environment for people to connect with each other. Three, and finally, we've seen a shift from digital adoption to digital dependency. 2020 saw millions of people come and migrate online, and 2021 saw this theme continue, but also the staying power of digital. Due to the necessities, people are now proactively deepening their usage of the digital platforms, expanding the use of mobile apps and technologies in their daily lives, and experimenting with new digital services such as contactless payments. If I reflect on my own personal life, I am now more digitally dependent than ever. I now need my mobile to do most functional things: check into shops, show proof of vaccine certificates, or to book last-minute travel when you have accidentally booked your connecting flight to a different airport. Who knew there were 3 airports in Milan? My husband made it clear that given my extensive travel knowledge, I should have. So what does this mean? Digital-first lifestyle is here to stay, particularly in 2022. Brands need to set themselves up not only to be COVID-proof, but future-proof as well. Having digital and mobile at the center of your business strategy, not just your media strategy, is incredibly important, as this is where people are spending most of their time, and this is where you'll find your next or new customer. Think about your own life. When was the last time you made a transaction that didn't involve some type of digital engagement, be it research, reading reviews, maps, or payments? To summarize, in 2022, we will believe that consumers will continue to focus on well-being, continue to invest in personal connections and experiences, and continue to accelerate their use of digital. Now, let's have a look at the APAC consumer research we did with Kantar to see how this is evolving the APAC traveler. The findings from our Kantar consumer report show that people are now investing more in leisure travel. Travel has become a milestone event. People are traveling less, but for longer, spending more, and have a strong preference, 1, for luxury, and 2, for convenience. This means for travel brands, stakes are higher, as conversion is more valuable and less frequent. People are also spending a lot longer in the booking cycle, so it's critical to connect with them in this period and make sure that you are showing an offering that matches their needs. In our research, what we found is that people are interested in APAC, in traveling internationally, but they're going to be much more deliberate in the way they travel. In fact, people say that they are eager to travel internationally, but are 2 times less likely to travel as frequently in the future. And this is predominantly due to the complexity of booking, the fears around safety, and also how much planning you need, with the increase in research and booking window of almost 20%. In fact, in some markets, we're seeing an increase of over 40%, such as Japan, in the average booking window. We're also seeing that travelers are looking to make each of their trips more worthwhile. And when we say that, what we mean is they really want to milk this moment. They want to stay longer, with over 87% of our consumers saying that international trips they book will be 5 days or longer. And 1 in 4 actually saying that they're more likely to book a trip for 2 weeks or more. This is really important to know. It's also vastly different from the behavior that we saw in 2019, where the average nightly travel journey was 3.5 days. So we know people are booking trips for longer, but what are they doing when they book them? What we see is that people travelers in APAC are 3 times more likely now to have highly targeted and focused travel, i.e., instead of jumping around previously, they're actually going to be much more focused and perhaps choose just 1 to 2 destinations. We actually see a huge rise of this in Japan in particular, where consumers in Japan specifically said that they wanted to be much more targeted in the way they travel, just traveling to fewer destinations, but for a longer period. This means for everyone out there, tourism dollars will likely become more precious, as you won't have the natural flow-on regional effects that you had before, say where a Southeast Asia traveler would be jumping around to multiple different countries. If I think of my own recent trip to Italy, usually I would have gone to 3 or 4 different destinations, and in a 3-week period, I spent majority of my time at just one destinations and actually only visited 2. This is because COVID has made travel complex. And so it's really important that when you have the opportunity to connect with travelers, you do so in a meaningful way so you can convert them. So we've heard about what travelers are doing and want out of their travel. Now let's have a look at what type of travel they're booking. What we saw from our Kantar consumer research, that people are investing more in luxury and travel and also conveniences. As this is a milestone event and happening less often, they want to pamper themselves. In fact, nearly 80% of our consumers came back saying that luxury stays and package holidays were what they were after. Obviously, this changed by markets. In markets like Japan, we saw consumers, around 60% of consumers responding, saying that they wanted luxury travel. But actually in Indonesia and India, we saw over 80% wanting luxury travel. And it's just important to know as you target consumers that every market is different, and note that, and therefore advertise differently. We wanted to take this a step further and have a look to see what was happening with our own search data, given the insights we saw in the Kantar consumer research. And we saw that this trend was true in our own click data. Excuse me. In fact, for accommodation, we saw a huge growth in accommodation for hotels over $300 a night compared to 2019. In markets like Japan, we saw a whopping increase of 125% in interest for luxury options. And India and Indonesia took this to a new level with over 200% increase in luxury travel. Thus, there is a clear indication that people are willing to really spend on these milestone moments and will deploy their money when traveling. So in summary, in 2022, the stakes are higher. Advertisers need to be top of mind when the APAC traveler is considering and researching their trip. There are 3 ways that you can ensure you don't miss this opportunity. Number 1, monitor and always be across the current trends. Also, use your first-party data to see how your consumer is evolving, because changes both in demand and needs are happening on a monthly basis. Make sure you have a really impressive digital experience, starting with your platform and then investing in, of course, digital marketing. You need to be where the consumer is, and it's clear, and have the right infrastructure to ensure that once they find you, they have a seamless experience with your brand. It's clear people are spending more time in digital, and therefore that is where you should be investing your improvements and technology. And finally, communicate extensively and frequently with clarity with the customer. It's important that you are sharing what you're doing as a brand to differentiate yourself, and also how you're utilizing your safe messaging, and how you are also intelligently communicating with the consumer. So I realize I'm slightly over time. So with that, I will say thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. If you want to reach out to me, feel free to. And thank you, Sihun. Always, it's a pleasure.